Um, we're live. Um, so what do we do while we wait for people to click and start watching? I have no idea. Other than sit here and be bored and fuss and mess with stuff and just um, smoke a cigarette. Kids, don't smoke. This is like the worst habit I ever started in grade school. It's something that, oh my God, there's somebody watching. I should go and see who's watching. I need to pull that up, don't I? So let's go over here. Do, 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 do. This is bad. I actually have to click on my own video just to pull that up so I can see and get that going. Hi, Nikki. Yeah, I'm getting you into pop up so I can follow that. Oh, are you going to let me do pop outs this time? There we go, pop out chat. Yes, I know you're my stalker. You're my awesome, awesome stalker. Love you, girl. Love you. There we go. You are pop out so I can follow along with conversations that people do. Um, Basically, what I'm doing here today is I had done this on Facebook before last night while I was driving. Oh, people on my friends list get privileged live broadcasts from time to time that I don't do on YouTube. Um, and that was pretty much talking about why the dog goes with me and what happens when the dog doesn't come with me. And let's start with what happens when I know you. The other Aurora paid attention, but what happened when Koda wasn't with me? Now, what we were doing is we were going to a food shelf because we are poor people here. We really don't have money. And this was a food shelf that was at a church. It's a church I'm very used to, I'm very safe at. You know, there's no issues here. I've been there 100 times, and it's usually dead there. It's usually, there's no one there. I mean, dead, dead. Well, there was some sort of event going on there that, I was unaware there was an event there today. So we come pulling into the parking lot, and it's wall to wall packed. So I'm like, oh boy, okay. And we get in there. I'm like, okay, anxiety's already going off a little bit. I'm okay. I can do this. I can do this. I couldn't do it. I started having anxiety attacks. These anxiety attacks led into agoraphobia attacks. The agoraphobia were leading into panic. It's by the time they were calling my number, and I could not leave the building because I had to stay in there for my number to be called. I'm sitting like this. I've got music on. I'm depending on a friend next to me to tell me when my number is being called. I am bawling. I am shaking. My Tourette's is acting up. I am twitching all over the place. And I'm putting on this smile, trying to pretend like I am okay, like I am normal, like all of this is not going on. I'm going through the line. I'm still pretending like I am okay. And inside, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. I get outside, I start hyperventilating. I don't have any of my meds on me, nothing. I spend about 20 minutes just out in the parking lot to calm down before I can even start driving us all home. Yeah, it wasn't fun. Just 20 minutes just to calm down before I can drive us all home. And even then on the ride home, I'm still slightly triggered. I'm still slightly up there and worked up. And then somebody calls that this person is one of my triggers. So I'm now fighting a PTSD flashbacks while driving, and I'm white knuckled on the wheel, fighting these while driving, doing my best to just stay focused on the road. These are the reasons that somebody like me has a service dog, because if I had him there with me instead of leaving him at home, and the reason I had even left him at home is I was thinking about space in the car, because we had no go. Ooh, you were being a shit. Because we had 4 people in the vehicle, and that was 4 people's worth of food, and I wanted to help everyone. And one of the people was picking up for 2 separate people, so that's 5 people's worth of food for 4 people in the car. That's a lot of stuff. And granted, it's a van, it's a big car, but that's still a lot of stuff. I mean, we could barely even see. I mean, if this entire screen was the rear view, it was filled up to about here, so that's about all I had for rear view. I'm using side view mirrors to even see. Everything was just packed. It's sorry, getting a little zoned even talking about it. But if he was with, he would have been able to note that I was getting to that point, and he would have interceded. He would have been getting up onto my chest, been doing pressure therapy. He would have been distracting me. He would have been forcing me out of the building, which would have been best for me. I'm even talking about it. I'm like, I had to be in there. I had to be in there. Well, 2020 hindsight, I could have told somebody about my issues and said, hey, I need to go outside. And I would have if I had had him with me. And I'm sure that they would have been understanding and came out to get me when my number was up. Didn't, because I got so stuck in that mindset, and that's part of my disability. And I didn't say that because I didn't have him there to force me into that, because I get so stuck. And that's some of the stuff that these dogs do. And that's part of the things that these dogs are trained for. And that's the stuff that he's trained for. And that's why we bring them with. And that's why we have them with. We are not trying to inconvenience anybody else. I inconvenienced myself and I inconvenienced others because I took a lot longer through that line than I would have if I had had him with. I took a lot longer getting to my spot. I took a lot longer getting my things together. I slowed down everybody because I didn't have him with, which means I inconvenienced everybody else there. And this is something that, I want other people to see this, and I want other people to know about that so that they can understand, we're not doing this to inconvenience you. We're actually trying to make things go faster. We're trying to make it easier for both ourselves and other people, because if we're able to get through all this quicker, then we're going to make it quicker for you at the same time. It's not about us having this cute doggy. And I also discovered last night that for all the steps forward that I have made, I do still need him with me. And it's going to make my life a lot easier. And I actually deal with the cute doggy comments a lot easier than I do just leaving him behind. Because when I leave him behind and I hit those points, I still am not easy to. That's fine, Nikki. Go ahead. You jump off. I'm just rambling. People will rewatch this later, I'm sure. After my rambling, I'm probably just going to be goofing around anyway. You take care, darling. Just remember, be okay with your crazy. But yeah, it's about being accommodating to the community, because think about it this way. What would you rather be dealing with? Would you rather be dealing with seeing somebody shaking, twitching? I mean, I'll be honest, when I get into that state, I look like a drug addict. I look like I am coming down off a meth or something. I look crazy. I don't look rational like right now. And anybody wants to do a random drug test on the streets, I don't care. And the only thing you're going to find in my system is medical marijuana that I am on. And that is because they've taken me off of a lot of other stuff. The medical marijuana does help with my fibromyalgia. It actually calms down the symptoms immensely. And I am even very nitpicky on the doses that I take with that. I'm very minimalist on how I use it. So you'll find that in my system. And that's it. But it looks like I'm coming down off of meth when I'm going into these attacks. And that's mainly because of the Tourette's getting kicked up because of everything else. Or have somebody like that I've scared children, and I hate that. I absolutely freaking hate that. I'm a mother, and when I see that I have scared other people's children, I cry. So would you rather see this woman scaring your children, or just somebody walking by with a dog? That the dog occasionally circles around, makes the woman walk back out of a store. The dogs are highly trained. I do occasionally circle his butt around and walk him back out of the store, and that's because I see somebody with a dog that is obviously not a service dog. And that's another thing I'm going to bring up at this point. When you bring your pets in, you're not fooling anyone. A dog at the end of a leash, sniffing a banana, completely ignoring you as you're having a conversation with someone. Oh, sweetheart, you are not fooling anyone. I just saw that last night. So was it last night or 2 days ago? It was 2 days ago we did the food shelf. Last night we did something else. It's part of the PTSD. My time schedules get messed up a little. But I saw that last night in the store, and I'm like, oh, no. No, 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 no. Oh, Koda, we're not going in here. Whoa, that's naughty. And it is. That's a federal offense. And the reason I will not bring Koda around any type of fake whatsoever is he has actually been bit by them to the point where it bit him straight through on the back leg. It would be the equivalent of his elbow on the back, which I guess would be his knee, but their knees kind of bend in the ups. I don't know. His heel, I guess, with the way it goes up and now I'm confusing my own head. But it bit straight through. He had a little hole in the back of his leg for a while, and at this point I won't. If I see a fake, I just turn around, I walk out. I'm not the one that's going to cause a lot of issues, a lot of problems, or anything else, unless your dog actually goes lunging at me. But at the same time, I'm not going to be in the store with you. I'm not going to be telling you how beautiful your dog is or anything else. There's another thing to bring up. And I'm not doing this to lambaste anything or tell anybody how bad they are for doing this. I'm telling you that thank you for saying this, and I'm going to tell you this in order to tell everybody this one time. One time. Thank you for telling me my dog is beautiful. Now you don't have to tell me 100 times again. And the reason I say this is every single time I go into the store, I can get this anywhere from 2 to 20 times before I walk in the doors. Oh, he's so pretty. Oh, your dog's so cute. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Yep. Yep. I'm not even making eye contact with the people. The reason I'm not making eye contact with the people is you have no interest in talking to me. You want to talk about the dog. You've got no interest in anything that's going on in my head. You see a puppy and you want to distract him from his work. And I appreciate the fact that you think my dog is cute, you know, but appreciate him from a distance. And that doesn't mean you have to be at the other end of the store. You could even be walking right next to us. I don't care. You could be walking right up against him. I don't care. Some of the golden rules about service dogs: no touch, no talk, no eye contact. Now, there's reasons for this. And I can tell you those as an actual trainer. Before I got to the point where I needed a service dog, I used to train for other people. And one of the things I can tell you about that is when you go up to a dog and you go, oh, look at you, oh, it's a precious puppy. And you start manhandling him and you're petting him and everything else, you are doing what's called a self-rewarding behavior. And what that teaches the dog is you are more entertaining than their handler. When you become more entertaining than their handler, you actually teach that dog they don't have to listen to their handler. I've discussed this on somebody else's feed before. I can't remember if I discussed it on my own. I probably am going to end up repeating things on this constantly, and I know I'm probably going to be the most irrational, repeating, oh my God, this person's so boring, they're ridiculous person out here on YouTube. I don't care. But when you do that, you teach the dog, handler's boring. God, they go out in public and they walk around. Ooh, this person wants to give me food. This person wants to do this. This person wants to do that. Well, we play when we're at home, but when we're out here, I just have to work. I'm just going to pay attention to these people. Fuck this. So you're actually putting the handler in danger. And I actually say in danger because I can give you a real life situation here. My very first service dog that was my own, somebody had done that, and it's partially my own fault because I never corrected people for this. And I'm now a huge advocate for this, the no touch, no talk, no eye contact. There are downtimes with Koda where I will allow people to approach him. And I'll allow them to pet him and stuff like that. And that's when we're outside and he's off leash, or we're just doing some brush up work and he's had a very good day with me, and I'll allow a little bit of, you know, socialization. Sorry, I have a little bit of a runny nose right now. But during those times, I'll allow a little bit of happy time and social and everything else. But otherwise, I do demand that his attention be on me and people leave him alone. The reason for this, my very first service dog, her name was Suki. I pretty much, I let people do whatever they want. I let them pet her and everything. And everybody knew her. Everybody loved this dog. And because of this, she would come to anybody at any time. Well, there was one day I was having really, really, really bad mobility issues. I was depending on her for mobility. And somebody saw her and went, "Oh, Suki, come here, girl." She turned. She jerked my arm at an angle. My torso followed. I went down and my head hit the floor. I ended up with a TBI, which is a traumatic brain injury. My stutters got really bad for a while. My Tourette's got worse. My Tourette's really hasn't gone back down since then. I've had to fight with that every day since. And this is all because somebody distracted my service dog. That is the danger you put handlers in. Distracting somebody's service dog is the same as taking the crutch out from underneath their arm. It is fine and it is great to love the dogs. And I really wish there was a way to bring this up without sounding like you're berating people. Because I don't want to sound like that. And I can't think of ways to say it without sounding like that. I really can't. And I kind of hate myself a little bit for that. Just open and honest there. I do hate myself a little bit for sounding like that because I don't want to sound like that. And I know I'm a broken record about that. But you really do need to do the no touch, no talk, no eye contact. Doesn't mean you can't look at the dog, just you don't lock eyes with it. And that's because dogs lock eyes with each other for communication. That's one of their ways of talking with each other. They'll do that with their handler for communication. You know, they're getting signals back and forth when they do that. And when you do that with them, they're looking for signals for you. They'll read little expressions off of your face in order to get signals, and they could always get something back and forth. And you'll get some people in the service dog community, well, if your dog was properly trained, it wouldn't matter. Accidents can happen. And this is about preventing an accident. And you're always going to have the dog that's still in training that accidents are expected. So there's no need to add extra accidents when they're in that in training phase. Let's see here. Okay, what are some fun things? Are you blind? Why you need a service dog? I'm not blind. I have PTSD, fibromyalgia, chronic migraines, as well as dissociative anxiety issues. My dog actually helps me with mobility, guide, and anxiety-related association tasks. So those are the things that he assists me with in order to make sure that I'm able to navigate crowded spaces safely. Without him, it actually takes me twice as long to navigate a crowded space. And I said it earlier in the video, I tend to clog up lines because of it. And it's easier for me to get through those spaces, and that way I'm able to get through a line quicker, and I'm able to get out of the store faster with him and with his help. So I'm not being as much of a burden on society. Does that answer your question? I know a lot of people jump straight to the blind. A lot of people are used to seeing that because that's the most popular. But seeing eye dogs are actually, I think, the last time they did a survey of all the different types of service animals, only 10% or 11% of all service dogs were seeing eye. They're just the most popular. They're the most, no pun intended, visual of all the different types of service dogs. Because they're the easiest to relate to. Everybody can relate to not being able to see, because you close your eyes, you get a feeling of what it would like to be blind, what it would be like to be blind. So it's very easy to relate to what it would be like. So a lot of people use that as a reference point to, oh, so the dog helps out with that. That's easy to figure out. Now, when somebody talks about, well, I have PTSD, my dog helps out with that. Not everybody can figure out what it's like to have a war going on inside your own head. That's a little harder to figure out. Um, the best way I put it is, yeah, it makes sense for a blind person. Best way I can put it for the PTSD, what it would be like, is have a record of the worst moments in your life playing inside of your own head and put it on repeat. This isn't about it making me feel better, because there's days that I just rather not have to bring him with. And that's what I discussed with in the beginning, is there was a day just recently where I just didn't want to bring him with, and I didn't, because I just didn't want to have him with me. And I actually suffered pretty bad for it, because he wasn't there to do his alerts. He wasn't there to do his job. And I ended up slowing down and inconveniencing a lot of people because of it. I feel pretty bad for inconveniencing those people. And I think about now is I want to state to everybody that I had inconvenienced with that was over at the church, that I am sorry if any of you do come by and watch this, for slowing down those lines that I should have brought him with. And I am sorry for slowing everything down when you watch this. Um, I ended up having major anxiety, panic attacks. My Tourette's ended up getting acted up because I didn't have him there to alert to all that going on. I didn't have him there for the deep pressure therapy. I didn't have him there to force me to go outside and calm down and do everything that needed to be done. And because of that, I was twitching around looking like a meth addict walking the building, only being half responsive and taking double the time that I should have been taking to getting things done. And I actually feel pretty bad about that, because I shouldn't have been taking that long to get things done. And the only reason it took me that long is because I didn't have him with, because I was trying to save space in the car. And I was thinking, well, I know this place, I know the people there. I didn't realize it was going to be as crowded as it was. And I ended up slowing down things for several hundred people because I didn't want to bring the dog with. Plain and simple, it's like not wanting to take your meds. I didn't want to bring the dog with. This isn't an ESA, this is a service dog. ESA is emotional support animal, and those are the ones, it's just in your house. All they do is they make you feel better. He is actually task trained. He is an actual service dog. But as for explaining PTSD to you, it's like having that record playing in your head of your worst moments, but it's not just playing the memory. It's playing the memory to the point where you're actually reliving it over and over again at random. Every feeling, emotion, sensation, smell, and you can't get away from it. You get trapped in it over and over again. And you keep having everybody around you saying, just forget it, but you can't because your mind is actually stuck in that replay. And you don't know what's going to set it off. Things will just happen at random that set it off. With soldiers, they used to call it shell shock syndrome. Even civilians get it. I was a victim of childhood abuse, a rape victim, and my past will replay in my head from time to time. And he is trained to recognize when that happens and actually get me out of the situation that's triggering it so that my mind can reset and get out of it quicker so I can get back to what I'm supposed to be doing. Otherwise, I can get stuck in it for hours with him and his help. It can be just a couple minutes and I'm back to me, back able to do what I need to be doing. I've been fighting for disability for years. When you have PTSD, unless you're a soldier, it's very difficult to get PTSD just because there's a lot of people who fake it, which is horrible. I do not know. I'm trying not to cry because I have makeup on. I do not know or understand why people would want to fake this. It's like living in a constant nightmare. It is something that has driven a wedge between me and the majority of my family. I've lost friends over it. For years, I did not socialize or go outside of my home at all. I've developed agoraphobia because of just crowd reactions. Because it's you getting stuck in a flashback and you scream, I don't want to be around Bob because you're stuck in this flashback. You don't even realize where you are and you're yelling at your mother, I don't want to be around Bob right now. You don't even realize where you are and you have all these people crowding around you. Now, granted, they don't understand what's going on. These are actually good-minded people. They want to help you, but your mind doesn't recognize that. All you're seeing is this person that hurt you as a child in multiple faces crowding in on you, and your mind flips out. You go into this panic state. I'm not even 40 yet, and I've had 4 heart attacks because of it. So I have to be very, very careful about when I go out, how I go out, and who I go out with. That's another reason for me starting to do this more often and starting to talk about my disability and what life is like for me. Is I did not mean to use my middle finger there. One of the lawyers who was trying to help me get on SSI said it might be good to keep some sort of journal, even if it's a live video journal that talks about what life is like for me and my challenges and what I'm dealing with. Um, any other questions? What, Koda? I know Mama got worked up. It's not always easy for me. He can smell. You see how he focuses on my mouth. He can smell that I got myself worked up. So he's now doing pressure. He's pushing on me. He's telling me that I'm worked up. I know, buddy. I know. I'm just focusing on him, and yeah. Um, One of the reasons he works so good and so fast to call me is during the time that the abuse was going on for me as a child, I did not have a dog. So it is something that is completely outside of those memories. Oh, Cody, you're blowing your coat. You're blowing your coat. But that's why he's able to calm me down um, a lot faster than other things. And yeah, sorry, I was getting a little too worked up there. Discussing it is never easy. I'm always open to do it because I do feel that talking about my past, other than, it hoping that it helps with getting my disability, that I do feel it will help other people. I've had others say that knowing they weren't alone in it, that it does help them to know that others have gone through the same thing. Good boy. Just letting him know I'm okay now, that he's okay to sit, and he's, I have to bring him out and brush him. This is just from him coming over and doing the calming. But you notice how when my voice got up higher, I'm okay now, I'm okay. But I've been told that my voice gets up higher pitch when I get upset, that he came over and he was smelling my breath and stuff like that. He was checking me. He noticed that I guess my breath smells different to him when I'm getting to the point where I'm in a bad state. So he smelt it. He noticed. He did the head bops. He did some pressure on my leg. And once I started responding and touching him, that's when I started focusing. My mind went to him rather than what it was on before, which was pretty much reliving what I had been through. And that's when I calmed down. Um, any other questions? Anything else anybody wants to talk about? My Johnson, you're the only one in here. And yes, I'm going to light up a smoke. So if you have issues with smoking, too bad. My video. goodness. Okay, so nothing coming forward. Um, what are some of the talents and weird things that, let's see here, frequently asked questions that I get live on the street? What are some of the things you do to calm down when you get too worked up? Some of my favorite things to do to calm down is if I get too worked up, he will actually lay straight out across the top of me. And that is because if I get too worked up, I will self-harm without even thinking about it. And what that is I'll short nails for a reason. I'm one of those people, I'll just cross my arms and just scratch myself. And I don't know if you can actually see it or not. Maybe but those little white puckers in my skin, and that's common for people with the PTSD. We're trying to self-soothe. Ugh. My mouth does not work today. Another common thing for us is educational videos. I do not know why. For some reason, it works with a section of our brain that was damaged, because PTSD actually does show up on MRIs as damage, which is another reason why it's so bewildering that we have to fight for disability. But because of that, we like the educational videos. Also because of that, we can be really fucking irritating. Like right now, one of the things that I've been stuck on for educational videos is actually CGI. I have been watching CGI videos. I've actually been working on learning how to do CGI every time I get worked up. In fact, after doing this, I'm probably going to be back to watching some of my CGI educational tutorials. So you guys might end up seeing some CGI videos in the future on here because of that. And for some reason, the sections of the brain that gets damaged, these educational videos seem to help to work with the soothing it and everything else, and just helping to relax it and get it to calm down. And I scared off the one person that was viewing. Yes. Wonder if they were just viewing because they thought it was funny seeing me get freaked out. I don't know. I don't know. Oh no, they're still here. Where are you? I'm way up in Minnesota. So you're not a troll. Okay. I don't know. I never know. So you are here, then you just skipped off for a second. It said that you had disappeared, so I thought you were a troll. Yeah, I'm way up in Minnesota. I'm not giving you the direct state, even though you'll probably figure it out at some point. It's not that hard to figure out. Or the direct city. Ugh. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate that. I think we're all part-time trolls at some point or another. Yeah, some of them can be really, really interesting. Some of some of them are just like, why? Like Joyce Sparkles. Watching her, all I could think of was, why? Were you dropped on your head as a child and adult? I didn't see her go after PTSD, thankfully. I saw her go after fibromyalgia and kind of make a mockery out of that. And for that, I'll be honest, I wanted to smack her around a little bit. I'm actually nonviolent, so I'd never do it. Doesn't change the want factor. You can want something without actually ever doing it. Noko, what are you doing up there? I have a greenhouse. Oh, it's because I just planted fresh catnip. I have a greenhouse that I'm growing catnip in. It's actually got catnip in it. And it's big old black greenhouse, and she's just hanging out on top of it by one of the vents. And for the people that I know there's suspicions, I'm going to pull one of the plants out and show. It is not, ooh, don't knock the computer over. It is not what people have been saying with suspicion. It is truly just catnip. It's not snowing up here yet. Not yet. We're having a very late snow season. But yeah, I've had a couple of people say, oh, greenhouses like that, all it is one thing. No. People use it for herbs of all kinds. I've got catnip, basil, all kinds of things in here. Some people just like fresh herbs for their pets and for cooking. Although legally, with my license, I could actually grow that. Let's see here. It's chilly out. I'd say right now it's about 53, I think. We haven't had any snow. We've had 2 days of sleet so far this season, but no snow yet, which is actually really weird for this area. Um, Usually by now we have had snow. So the fact that we haven't had any yet is actually really bizarre. Other hobby things, I do paint. I make custom hats. In fact, this is one of the custom hats that I do. And for all the people that say, well, just make a living off of doing that. Yeah, you have no idea how hard it is to break into that. I've been trying for years. I also make gear and equipment for service dogs. And again, that's a very hard business to break into. I've gotten compliments that my stuff is the best they've ever seen. I've never, I think in all the time that I've done it, I've had one return, and that's just because a very, very sad story. I'm not going to say which item it was. The item was resold. Maybe, I don't know. If people end up subscribing a lot, I could end up making a living off of this. I don't know. But there was one piece of gear I had sold in the past. It was the only piece I'd ever had returned. Maybe. But there was one vest I had done. I'm not even saying the color, style, anything. But the dog that I had made it for, there was an incident where the handler for the dog was mugged. The dog ran for fear when the handler was mugged and got hit by a car. And that is the only vest I ever made that was returned. I resold the vest, and the money from the vest. Now, I'm not begging for anything on YouTube. I'm not asking for anything. I am helping out a friend with their business. Yeah, that is a shame. The money I made from reselling it, I sent back to the family because, as bad as my situation is, they not only did they get mugged, but they lost a valuable member of their household when that dog died. And that meant they had to get a new dog. They had to go through a whole new training, everything else. I sent the money that I made from that vest right back to them. Because that's, no, I I just couldn't in a right heart keep that. That's just not who I am. And no, I'm not no saint. I am the type of person who, and I will have people attest to this, goes through Walmart on a conversation talking about taking out whips until morale approves as I'm on a phone conversation with someone. I am no saint, but that doesn't mean I don't have a heart. Um, and I'm also good at derailing my own train of thought. I am kind of hoping that, being on YouTube gets me more popular. So my artwork, my vests and gear and stuff like that sells more. Like, this is this is personally one of my favorite gear designs that I make. It's a very simple, very basic design. And it's just because I've used every single item I make. And I know that just for simple, basic mobility gear, that this pocketed design right here has been the best for me. That it's a no nonsense and it's done fantastic. Flip that back over there, and oh yeah, one of the other things I've been doing with it is I've been using it to help out one of my friends who's starting up a CBD company, and it's naturalhealthycbd.com. And if you use the code Koda10, KODA10, you get 10% off your order. And she's got a lot of great stuff on there. I might even be selling some of my own CBD products on there, which I make some amazing chocolates that have locally, they have fantastic reviews on them. If I do start to sell them from coast to coast instead of just a local thing, they will be going through her website first, which, if that takes off, then, SSI can kiss my ass. SSI and disability. Which I'd actually prefer that anyway, because that I would actually be able to do, but it would be, again, breaking into a market that any market, it's hard to break into those. It is really, really hard to break into those. And I've gotten fired from every job I've ever worked at because of my disabilities. Nobody is willing to make any type of accommodation for it. And it's usually the PTSD. My very last job that I got fired for was I had a blackout where I was non-responsive. And what that means is I was sitting at my desk and the phone was ringing and I didn't pick it up because I was in the middle of a blackout. The phone was very irate with me. It wasn't anything to do with me. It was they didn't like a company policy that had happened. And the company policy wasn't going to give them the refund. And I can't give names or anything else because of confidentiality clauses. And they were cussing and everything else. And I said, I'm sorry, Mr. and Mrs. But there is nothing more I can do on this matter. The company policy is simply that in order for you to process this any further, you would need to fill out form I-21-7 and mail it in according to the protocols set forth in your disclaimer portfolio. Once you get that in and it's filed, we can move forward in order to process your claim in the furtherance of listed off all the proper numbers according to what was on the screen. Does that help you any further in this matter? They flipped out, they were cussing. Is there anything else I can help you with today? They told me no, told me to go to hell. They made several sexual innuendos in the process of doing that, which set me off. They hung up, and apparently I missed the phone ringing. I was in a full blackout. I didn't even catch it. My boss came up behind me. I didn't even hear him. I was in a full blackout, just staring. I wasn't there. I wasn't in my own body. I wasn't allowed to bring my dog into work. They would not accommodate my service dog in my work environment because somebody in there had an allergy, which is illegal. That's not supposed to be allowed. The service dog's supposed to go into work with you, but no, dog isn't going to come in. And when I come out of it, there's a pink slip on my desk. So the first thing I see when I come out of this is to me, I'm staring at the phone, I blink my eyes, and there's a piece of pink paper on my desk stating my termination. And that was the very last time I even attempted employment. And that's the way the job market is when you're disabled. Majority of businesses out there, even if you are a good employee, it's before that incident, I was one of the tops. I was in the top 10%. But you do one slip up, if it's bad enough, you're done. Because the job market it's harsh right now. It is incredibly harsh. And if you have a disability, unless you're willing to work picking tomatoes is pretty much the only option we have in our area, you're done for. And to qualify for picking tomatoes in our area, to get that job, you have to have a developmental disability that is so severe you do not qualify for any other type of job. Well, my disabilities don't qualify as a developmental disability. That limits me and limits my capabilities to the point where I am not able to learn. So I don't qualify for picking tomatoes. So I am in that dead area right in between. So that's kind of where I sit. So yeah, I'm kind of in this damned if you don't, damned if you don't, damned if you do. It's go get a job, work it for about a week, get fired because something's going to end up triggering you. or be unemployed and have everybody view you as a leech just trying to get free money off the system when that's not what you're trying to do. You don't want to be in that position. Before I got to the point where everything got so bad I could not work at all, I used to work 10 to 15 hours a day. I was an absolute workaholic. I hated being at home. I would rather be out working. I had 2 jobs at one point, and I worked, came home, slept, went out, worked, came home, slept. That was it. I was really boring, but I was happy. I was pleased as punch. God, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought that was just the best thing in the world. Yeah, I worked half the day, I worked telemarketing, and the other half, I actually managed a laundromat that was also, they had the laundromat with internet computers. And this was when, the internet it was established, but it was still fairly new. So I would run the diagnostics and the cleaning every night on the computers, and I'd also maintenance the machines and do all the cleanup and everything else. Um, I ended up losing both those jobs around the same time when everything started going really bad. And I lost the wash and web job. The guy that owned the wash and web wasn't the best person in the world to begin with, but I hadn't swept the floor that day. He had a complaint from a woman there that she would come in. She was a very nice lady, but she would ask me to do stuff that was not my job, including folding her delicates. My job was taking care of the machines, cleaning the floor, and taking care of the computers, which that alone, it took you the entire day to do that, because you're sweeping the floors like 5, 6 times a day. And sometimes the machines would take you just all day. Sometimes the computers, I mean, depending on the number of children coming in, the computers would take you all day. So, and it was one of those days where it was mother with 5, 6 kids after mother with 5, 6 kids after mother with 5, 6 kids. So it's just child after child after child. And this is after me not sleeping all night because there was a family emergency that involved hospitals, and I was up all night. And this is after coming off of the other job. So I was dead dog tired. And so I'm like half awake, half asleep, tending to these computers all day. Hadn't even swept, but the floors looked fine to me. They looked fine. There was like a couple little granules in one corner, like 5, 6 granules that I had spotted. That was it. Okay, that's not bad. Most customers won't even notice that. That's okay. Machines are running good. Let's keep the computers fine. Oh God, there's another mother with kids. Okay, let's just keep the computers running fine, because that's what most people are concerned about. This woman comes in again. While I'm getting the next dryer going, could you fold my underwear for me? Ma'am, that's not my job. I'm more concerned with keeping the computers going right now. You need to really fold your own underwear. I am not comfortable folding your underwear for you. You need to fold your own underwear. Well, I'm going to complain. I'm going to tell your boss about this. I am your customer. You need to be taking care of me. Go ahead. All I said was, go ahead. She told him I was rude, I was inconsiderate, that I was mouthing off to her, that I was telling her where to stuff her underwear. I was feeling like it, but I never said any of that stuff to her. Whatever. And he's like, well, and I tested you because I don't think you've been doing your job at all. And I left some stuff for you to find. Really? What do you mean you left stuff for me to find? You could smell the alcohol on him. He'd already been drinking that day. And like I said, I hadn't slept. I had family in the hospital. I was up all night with them. And he's just going off, and he's ranting, and he's raving, and he's like, and this is going on, and this is going on. And I finally said, if you think I'm that bad of an employee, why don't you fire me? Fine. You're kidding me. No, I'm not. Okay. You just fired me. According to the laws of this state, you need to give me my severance pay right now. No, I don't. No, I don't. You want me to pull up the actual laws? I know how to work all the computers out there. Yeah, that's fine. He gives me my severance pay. I go. 2 days later, my back goes out. I get hospitalized. I lose my other job. And that's what it's like living with disabilities. That's the type of stuff that we are struggling with. And the thing is, when you go for SSI, good majority of the time they tell you, well, you can do pen assembly or something like that. The thing is, with pen assembly, you're crouched. They tell people with back injuries like me, I have herniated and compacted discs in my neck, between my shoulders, lower back, in the tailbone. They're telling somebody like me who has to keep their back like this, and you're noticing even in the video, I'm constantly forcing my back into certain positions, that I can do jobs that my back has to be like this for hours at a time. Because that is literally the lowest grade job in the American market is pen assembly. It is the lowest grade job. It is the job that they consider applicable for blind, deaf, dumb. That is how it is rated. That is the only job they have said I am applicable for. But even that, with my back, I can't do it for long periods. And I've had 3 different lawyers tell judges that she can't do this. She has to be able to shift, stand, sit, lay down at any time because of her disabilities. So this is multiple judges have been told by multiple lawyers this, and this is the regular struggle that is going on with people all across the world. And then there's others, like we have one fake. This is a faker that has admitted that she's a faker that's in my area, that has flat out stated when she found out that I was having problems getting on SSI, getting disability pay. Oh, just go do something stupid like cut your arm a little bit and get put into the mental hospital. I keep getting hiccups, and I'm sorry about that. Get put into the mental hospital for a couple of days. Go do it right before you go in for SSI. You'll get it immediately. I just do that every time they put me up for a reevaluation. I ask her, why do you do that? So you're admitting that you don't need it, that you, oh yeah, I could work. I work even though I have it. I just don't report it to them. Why do you do that? Oh, because I don't feel like working. these people do piss me off. These are the people that are making it so that people like me are looked at poorly. There are people that do truly need the help. I'm one of them. But there are people like these others that they make us look horrid. They make us look like we're nothing but leeches and that we're not trying and that we're not putting this effort out, because they're not. They're scamming the system. I mean, right now, I was homeless a little bit ago. The only reason I'm not now is because a friend was kind enough to help us out. Otherwise, I don't know, I might be dead on the streets. There is a good chance I'd be dead on the streets right now because it is getting colder out. I was living in an RV that I'd purchased. The last $500 I had to my name. And even that, somebody tore it apart. So if I had been in there, it would have been possibly somebody shooting me, killing me so that they could tear it apart and sell it. And that was the last $500 I had to my name. And I don't think I'm going to be able to hold back the tears this time. Um, you know, I don't think the person that I'm staying with will ever understand how grateful I am for the help that he has given. I've been able to get up on my feet a little bit, not as fast as I would like with being able to stay here, but with my challenges, I'm going as fast as I can. I know my eyes get over red whenever I cry. I look horrid. I look absolutely, God, I look like I'm possessed by something. I know. Um, God, I am being depressing right now, ain't I? I am being really, 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 really depressing. I'm like just griping and bitching and talking about problems and issues and just blah. Take a hit off my pipe instead. Like I stated before, I am prescribed that. So if anybody has issue with it, they have issue with it being a medical prescription. And I am very restrictive with it. One bowl lasts me an entire day. I want to state that. Let's see here. Lighter notes, lighter notes, lighter notes. Um, let's see here. Even with all the challenges, I can say I'm a good pet owner. Not just the service dogs, but also the cat that you've seen walking around. Even with all of this going on, I have managed to hold on to that cat for over 10 years. So all the people that say, well, somebody who's got challenges or somebody who's been homeless and everything else, and now some of us are good animal mamas. Noko, kitty, kitty. There she comes. Just give her a second. Get it. There's my Noko. This girl is over 10 years old and has been with me through all of this. Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. And yes, she's adult, despite the size. I think she's about 13 now. Is that right, Noko? Ow, 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 nail. I don't need a nipple piercing. And there, I would never get hired at Disney. I said nipple piercing on air. I'd never be hired at Disney. Okay, I should probably stop broadcast just because I have rambled and rambled and rambled, and I haven't really been overly entertaining other than just sitting here bitching. Maybe I'll do another broadcast when I'm in a better mood and have something better to talk about. Okay. Everybody take care. Everybody have a wonderful day. Like, click, subscribe. I promise other videos are entertaining and more upbeat than this. I don't know what's in me right now that I'm kind of mopey right now. Yeah, I'm just kind of mopey. Yeah. But I will talk to everybody later. Maybe I'll get one of my group chats with a couple of my friends. I can get goofy when I'm around my friends. So maybe I can get a couple of them on and just goofy group chat at some point. Everybody take care. Talk to you later. Love, light, peace, all that bullshit. Bye-bye.